live and direct from the new planet Earth. Where pandemics are plenty, but the girls are still pretty in fashionable dresses. You know what I'm talking about. Where ignorance is bliss. You ain't gotta give a damn about no code.
Tell me who unleashed our animal instinct. Why the op standing there tickle pink? Have a drink, walking them up liquor. Shot of poison, one thicker. Somebody got some explaining to do. And the classic man is a danger to you. And me too, tatted on my forehead. Go home, go to bed. Yeah, I dread something wicked just wake up. When the family unit is overrun, when the structure is undone by some new concoction. Now I walk softly and carry a big stick. Original gorilla in the midst.
Welcome back to the Franchise Podcast. I'm Joe Arrigo, my brother TQ.
Hey!
March Madness edition. Welcome to March. Check it out. A lot of sports to get caught up on, brother.
Yeah, whole lot. You know, it's been a bittersweet couple of weeks.
Bittersweet.
Bittersweet. It's been some good news, some bad news. It's all over the place. Let's dive into it.
All right, let's get right off the bat on Monday. Raiders and Derek Carr, we all know they passed, each other by. They said enough is enough, which is not a bad thing because at the end of the day, some relationships just have to come to end. You grow apart. Things just don't necessarily work out. And I think that's what it was for Carr and the Raiders. The Raiders, Raider Nation, Raiders fans, he's a polarizing figure amongst everybody, right?
Yes, absolutely. I don't know that there's another fan base that has had this love-hate relationship between fans about their quarterback, man. It's just, if I look back on the time that he was here, I don't know what didn't really click between his personality and the personality of the fan base, whether that was in Oakland or here, man. It just seemed like, I don't understand still to this day how he is still the scapegoat for everyone. Like we've been in this conversation over the last 3 seasons, and there's not enough of the fan base, I feel, that would just deal with the situation with the Raiders from a reality standpoint. It seemed like the hate for Derek Carr and him being the reason for all of the downfall of the team over the time that he's been here is just too much. Well, it's not real.
The thing is, I want Raider fans to understand this, and I want you to take your emotions out of it. What Derek Carr did for his 9 years with the Raiders is stabilize the quarterback position. Now, you go back to Rich Gannon, but that was only like a 4-year span. Yeah. And really 3 good because I think the 4th he was hurt, if I remember right. Mm-hmm. So you can even go back to probably Kenny Stabler. That's the last stable quarterback the Raiders had in the franchise because you can bring up Plunkett, but he was only there a few years. Jay Schrader,
did a whole
Jeff
lot of work
Hostetler,
for a few years. That
very, very true. Vince Evans, Jeff Hostetler.
Yes.
I mean, you can go down the list of Todd Marinovich.
But let's stop. You're proving my point. What is the difference between Jim Plunkett, Rich Gannon, Stabler, and the rest of the carousel of quarterbacks?
They won Super Bowls.
No, defense. Defense.
They also won Super Bowls.
Because of defense. They had defense. So that brings me to the point that I was speaking of in the first place, and that I've said many times. The Raiders' downfall over the years has not been because of the quarterback position. Yes, Derek Carr has made some bonehead plays that have caused us to scratch our heads. Just the other day, man, I saw on Instagram somebody's playing Madden, and there was the most Raider-like play at the end of the game, and they literally just recorded it and posted it. And it's like, we in the red zone, DC has an open lane to run into the end zone. 3 people are open in the end zone. He just skips around and throws an interception.
Well,
the game is over.
Okay.
So look, I get it. I'm not trying to be an apologist for Derek Carr.
Okay, because on the flip side, you could bring up when they went to the playoffs a couple years ago, 4th down play. You have Darren Waller on a wheel route against a smaller corner, and he throws short of the goal line, not in the end zone, but short of the goal line. in three defenders right there to Zay Jones. Like, why would you make that read and throw that?
Listen, man,
that
I get
draws
it.
the ire of Raider Nation, as you know.
Yes. And I get that part. I absolutely get that part. There have been some times that I have been leaving the stadium and I'm wondering, what was he thinking about? What was he looking at? What was on his mind? But at the same time, man, it's like when you're skittish because your offensive line doesn't know the plays, when you're skittish because you feel like you have to do everything perfect because you know you don't have a defense. You've been picking your defense apart so bad in training camp and practice for the time that you've been here, you end up believing you're a better quarterback than you really are. Because they're so trash, you get no chance for competition, you know, to actually get better. Then you throw in the regime, constantly changing coaches, constantly changing offensive systems, just no stability across the board. Look, we do understand that sometimes you just got to part ways, let bygones be bygones. But if I'm looking at the situation as it is today, I've lived in New Orleans. I've been a Saints season ticket holder for 3 seasons. He's going to the absolute perfect place.
You think so?
For his personality and for the man that he is off the field. He's got to fill some big boots. And it ain't Jameis Winston that I'm talking about. It's Drew Brees. And Drew Brees in that city was, when I tell you, an icon. And it wasn't just because of Katrina. It was because of the man that he is off the field and how much he loved that city and how much the city embraced him. I think that Derek Carr could slide right in there and do a great job in that area. And I think he can win, man. I think he can win. He's playing in a dome. When it comes down to it, he's cerebral. I believe that the Saints organization will have his back and give him every opportunity to win. He don't have to deal with Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes.
Well,
Russell Wilson. He don't have to fight against them every.
He's going to a division which is weak and it's soft. But see, I thought another team was actually a better fit for him in that division, and that's Carolina.
Why?
With Frank Reich there, I think there's more stability with the head coach, because if Dennis Allen, let's say they go 4-13 this year, right? Dennis Allen's not going to survive another season like that. Point. So now he's back to having a 1 year with the guy that his guy is the coach, and then
Dennis Allen ain't that guy. I don't think they.
Well, I'm just saying. And then you don't know what they're going to do with some of their receivers. Who's going to stay, who's going to go. They have a lot of salary cap issues. Now his deal is 4 years for $150 million, $60 million, 23-24. In 20, I want to say 23 is $28.5 million signing bonus, $1.5 million salary, $10 million more vets in 24, and then that's to be paid as a bonus in March of 25, and then the big number comes in 26. That's the $50 million. He also has a full no trade clause. So he got a deal that is similar to what he had with the Raiders. He's got another year.
It's a good deal for everybody. If it don't work out, everybody can cut bait and walk.
Yeah, but I still think Carolina would give him, because they have a really good defense. They have guys that can make plays. I mean, they have really good young receivers. The running back situation there is good. Offensive line isn't bad. I just think it's a better situation. Now he does get to play in the dome. And the one situation that didn't make sense to me at all was the Jet situation. And it has nothing to do with on the field stuff, because he has a strong arm. As Devontae Adams said in the press conference, like, the difference between him and Aaron is he doesn't know when to throttle it back where Aaron does. Or he chooses not to while Aaron does. I think the biggest deal, and it's not as a slight at Derek Carr, is the media. Like, New York media, you got to have skin like a leather skin like a drill sergeant. You know what I mean? To deal, because they're not going to put up with the same, oh, it's on me. They're going to be like, okay, we're tired of hearing that.
Right.
We're tired of hearing how you didn't do this or you need to get better. Just get better. Like that. I think that's. And
I don't think he would have those problems with the Jets, though.
Oh, I do.
That's not going to be the case, because Jets are surrounded by good players. Especially on the defensive side.
So if but
if you don't have to score, Joe, you and Raider Nation, you all do the same thing.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
You don't have to score 31 points every game in New York. You don't have to do that.
I'm not saying that, but let's just say the situation is they're not scoring and the offense is
Why
sputtering.
would they not be scoring? Explain.
Hey,
and if they're not scoring, you know what their team can do?
They've had
Stop the other team from scoring.
They had the black hole at quarterback since Boomer Esiason left, and that's literally me being nice. Chad Pennington, maybe.
Timeout. Tom Brady. Does anybody know that name? Yeah.
Why bring it up? Well, he's got nothing to do with this conversation.
He's got a lot to do with the conversation. You're talking about the Jets, who have been in the same division with Tom Brady for 20 years. What do you mean? What are you saying? Who else has had any
success?
Bill
Belichick, Rex Ryan.
Who else has had any success in that division since Tom Brady was in that division?
No,
nobody.
That is a valid point. That's a valid point. But I give him a saying.
And you know what else Tom Brady had in that division every time he was there? Defense.
The point I was trying to make that was if the offense isn't going, like you said, you're like, oh, well, let's say he is the person that's going to fall on him. The same way Zach Wilson, young quarterback, all he had to do was get the ball to these guys. He couldn't do it for whatever reason.
Because he's not a good quarterback. That's why he couldn't get it to his guys. How long has Derek Carr been playing the quarterback position? How long has Zach Wilson been playing the quarterback position? This is apples to oranges. What we're talking about here is there's going to come a time when you're up against a squad and you can't move the ball for whatever reason. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe their defense is just simply better than your offense. What's going to happen when they get the ball? For the time that Derek Carr has been with the Raiders, you're going to lose. Period. That's not going to happen with the Jets. Well, you got a fighting chance
I feel
if the
like
offense ain't clicking to still win the game.
The marriage of Derek Carr and the Raiders, actually, there's a blame pie between this in general, the organization. That includes management, coaches, everything else. It's 50-50. Bottom line. They both have faults. They both have been at fault.
Agreed.
And it was time to move on. He's moved on to the Saints. Let's just hope no one puts any voodoo on him. Let's just hope he can get past midfield this year, which he was unable to do this last season with his offense. Let's just hope Derek Carr, and I want to see him succeed. Got a chance to watch him and Devontae play at Fresno State. Derek's a good dude. I
think he will succeed. Like him. I absolutely think he will succeed. I think that he'll go out there and prove some people wrong. And I mean, a lot of that depends on what the Saints do in the offseason. Getting their team to the point where they need to be.
They got to move a lot of money around.
Yeah, they got work to do. That's going to play a part in it. But I don't think as a fan base, as the media across the board, we can let the Raiders off the hook with this situation.
So let's talk about the Raiders quarterback situation. I'm gonna look at my Raider fans. We're gonna talk about right now what the Raiders are gonna do at quarterback. But I want you guys to hit us up. Get on IG, tag us in your story, use a video, hit us on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. What do you think the Raiders are going to do? More importantly, what do you want the Raiders to do? Now, be realistic with it, too. Don't do something that's half-cocked crazy. Let's do something that's realistic. So the Raiders have some options going into free agency, which starts on the 17th. They can trade for a quarterback. There's a certain guy in Green Bay that pretty much with Derek Carr going to the Saints because he got tired of waiting on Aaron Rodgers. That's like, hey, one report came out said it's not happening. Vic Tafer from Athletics said there's no interest. But then you got some NFL, Dan Graziano, and a few other people saying, hold on now.
Right.
And I think what's happening with that is I think the general manager and the head coach, Ziegler and McDaniels, are saying, you know what? I really don't think it's wise for us to do it. But there's one card that trumps it all. Mark Davis. And I know for a fact Mark Davis for the last 3 years has had interest in Aaron Rodgers. So
and Mark Davis for the last 3 years had lost interest in Derek Carr. And that, my friends, is the reason why we're in this situation.
Well, maybe more than 3 years.
Hey,
but I mean,
I'm just saying, like at the end of the day, when it happens like this, I think we just in a situation where, half the fan base liked Derek Carr, the other half didn't. I think the owner was on the side with the half that didn't. As simple as that.
No comment. So they could trade for Aaron Rodgers potentially, depending on, and it's coming out that if Green Bay eats some of the salary, the compensation will be even more. Green Bay, as it is, there's kind of a bar that's set. Mm-hmm. You can also re-sign Jarrett Stidham, which is a placeholder. Placeholder, because you could draft one of the 4 young quarterbacks in this draft, and I tell you what, guys that are probably going top 10, C.J. Stroud, who lit it up. Bryce Young, who's projected to go number 1. Will Levis, and Richardson, who is a freak, like athletic freak. And if he gets his mechanics of footwork down, you're looking at a guy whose upside is tremendous.
That man has played, 12 games plus a combine? 13 games?
No, I think he played
14
more. No, I
games?
think he's
How many
played-
games has he played?
I think he played, last year in the season, I think he's a 2-year starter.
Is he?
He was a 2-year starter at Florida, I believe.
Okay. Well, I mean, come on, man. I've said this. I said this last year. I said this the year before. You're not going to draft a quarterback that's going to do better than Derek Carr in this draft. I don't believe. So the only way you go up, you upgrade the position, is with Aaron Rodgers. And that's
The
what it
asking
is.
price is steep.
I mean, I get
It's
it.
steep.
What is it? What? Tell me this. Don't tell me anything about draft picks.
Well,
I'm talking about people that play for the Raiders right now.
Who
Who do they want?
There's 2 players that I know that they're interested in, that if they put the picks together, and now one's Waller and one's Merrick. They almost traded for Waller at the trade deadline last year.
They want both of them?
No, it would be one of them. They have a need at safety.
Okay.
And Merrick Young fits what they like to do, fits the defense. And honestly, he doesn't really fit the Raiders' defensive scheme
Not no
right
more.
now.
He used to.
So that he's a guy that goes out, freelances, center field, go get the ball type. They need someone like that with
And how many picks? First this year, first next year?
a minimum 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
It could be 2 1s, a player, and a 3. 2 1s, and depending on the player, just a player. But that's where it is as far as everybody I talk to.
I'm doing 2 1s and Trayvon Merrick in a heartbeat.
Well, that'll probably be a 3rd-round pick with Merrick going back. Waller would be 2 1s and Waller.
Okay.
But 2 1s, Merrick, and a 3rd makes a lot of sense for both teams.
Doing that. I'm doing that. I'm absolutely doing that. Why? 3 reasons. No, 4 reasons.
One of them has to do with making. You must see me squirm, but I'm not squirming at all.
Okay, 5 reasons. Listen, man. Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson / my man Sean Payton.
This is put Sean Payton because
This is a problem. This is going to be a problem. It ain't CJ Stroud. No, not against them. You got to play these people twice a year. That's rough, man. That's like that.
Okay.
That ain't cool. That's like the other side of the tracks at the wrong side of time with the wrong colors on. It's not the way. You got to have a G, man. You got to have somebody that
a G.
Yeah, you got to have somebody that strikes fear into defenses. And no rookie is going to do that. Stidham is not going to do that.
Jimmy G.
Listen, man.
See, look, this is how I see the dominoes. Look, now that Carr is gone, it's what's Rodgers going to do? If Rodgers goes to the Jets, that clears the way for Jimmy G to come to Vegas and be a placeholder for a young quarterback. If Rodgers goes to the Raiders, Jimmy G goes to the Jets, where he's got a relationship with Salah from going back to San Francisco. So the quarterback domino, we'll know by the 17th. We'll probably know in a week on Tuesday when everything comes out, because Rodgers, I think, really will know something by the end of this week or going into the weekend.
Here's my problem with Jimmy G. I'm a 49er fan.
Mm-hmm.
For years now, I have watched quarterbacks do things in games from my teams that I don't understand. We just talked about Derek Carr and his throw the ball away on the 4th down and throw the ball short of first down yardage when you need the first to win the game. Like, Jimmy G does things like run out of the back of the end zone. Look, listen. I feel like he's innately a winner. I feel like he's tougher than people give him credit for. But there is a bonehead move somewhere within him in a game at a time when you don't need a bonehead move. And that drives me crazy. I think that Jimmy G will come to Las Vegas along with high blood pressure for me.
Do you think that maybe Jimmy G's focusing on the Subway sandwiches his grandma makes? Or
No, I don't think that, man.
mean-
Listen, if you
Those are good
look at
commercials,
the
too.
guy, they are. If you look at the guys that have played with him, they love playing with him.
Yeah, I mean, look,
He's a great guy in the locker room. He's a leader. He's a lot more vocal than people expect him to be. But it's just something there, man. It's just something that I don't know if he rises to the occasion like he should. Not only that, Jimmy G has been surrounded by talent.
Very true.
Surrounded by talent, and more defensive talent than offensive talent in his career. Coming to the Raiders.
That offense, that Niners offense last year. I mean, that's Debo.
They still pale in comparison to what's on the other side of the field.
No, that's true. But I guess my point is,
Jimmy needs a defense, just like Derek Carr needs a defense.
So, okay.
We're going to get the same thing if we don't give him
Okay,
one.
so let's stay on Jimmy G for a second now. They signed Jimmy G. They can use that number 7 pick. Let's say Jalen Carter slips down to him because of his incident, that's up in the air.
Yeah.
There's that dominant D tackle that you and I have been craving the Raiders to have for a while.
Agreed.
And you can build the defense around that. Now he has Devontae, Josh Jacobs,
But
Waller.
who is he, man? Tell me who he is.
He's a placeholder for them because,
No, I'm talking about Carter. Let's say he falls to us. Is this, I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. It sounds innocent enough. Sound like some stupidity, but I think we know stupidity is magnified in this particular city.
And in a way, this situation too, from a lesser degree.
Come on, man.
But here's what I think. I think it was very orchestrated somehow that the day Jalen Carter's supposed to speak at the NFL Combine,
Right.
it comes out. I think
Sounds very much like
Warren Sapp with the cocaine charges back in the 90s where he
Right.
slid to Tampa Bay magically when he's from.
or my man with the gas
Larry
mask.
Tunsil.
Yeah,
I mean, we were at Parkway Tavern
Yeah,
watching
we
that,
were.
and we were like,
Yeah, some of this
"Ah."
timing is just like low down and dirty, man. But I mean, those are my concerns, bro. Like we've been derailed out here a couple of times over, off in the last couple of years, just off of players and their off the field activities in a city like this. So I think that we really have to make sure that the vetting is at an all-time high.
Here's the thing. If he's convicted of anything, he's facing 1 year, 12 months in jail. I think it's like a $1,000 fine, or $5,000 fine, heavy probation period, and
With community service?
not even no community service as far as I know, and he won't be able to drive for quite some time. But it's just speeding and he's not getting charged with murder.
Okay.
Okay. The person driving the car had a blood alcohol level that was more than twice the legal limit.
Okay.
So it's just going whatever it was in the speed zone or whatever.
Okay.
So it's not like he's being charged with vehicular homicide or anything like that. Because tragically, 2 people lost their lives. And if he was a part of it, he's got to live with that. But everybody that talks about him, teammates, they're saying he's not the character risk that everybody assumes that he's actually a good dude. Fed players that were redshirt that don't have the meal card, he would feed them with his meal card, make sure they ate and they were taken care of on the team. So I think there's a lot of, you don't know the person, and I think that's why the interview process with him was so critical for him to go back. And even now, he's able to, zoom in or sit down and teams can use their 15 visits. But if he's there at 7, you sign Jimmy G, now you're building that defense.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Because even if you do get Aaron Rodgers, you gotta do something with the defense.
And you're not picking until the second round with Rodgers.
Right.
So you're gonna have to use that money, you have with the salary cap. The Raiders are in the upper half. I think they have like $48 or $58 million to play with. So that
it's a good backup plan, but plan A in the situation that the Raiders are in and the division that the Raiders are in.
Aaron?
Ron, man. You got to get Ron, man. You got Devontae Adams. What are you talking about? Like, come on. What are we talking about here? Don't we have Devontae Adams signed to our team?
Yeah.
Does 17 play for Silver and Black now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I mean, no questions asked. Go get Aaron Rodgers and let's do this thing. Let's get in the playoffs.
I just thought of something crazy. I believe in symbolism, right? Ken Stabler,
Yeah.
Raiders and Saints. Derek Carr, Raiders and Saints.
Look at that. Look at that.
Aaron Rodgers, Bay Area guy, goes to Green Bay. Raiders had, they didn't have the opportunity to draft Jason Campbell after him.
Right.
But Or oh no, they
No,
drafted
not-
Fabian Washington ahead of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Could have gone
Yeah.
to the Raiders ahead of time,
Exactly.
but didn't. Now it could come here where
It'd be beautiful, man. It'd be beautiful. I feel again, even the damn Broncos, there's no fear. There's got to be some kind of fear. People feel like they can just whoop up on us. The whole division feels that way. They feel like they got a W when the Raiders show up. Even if we whoop them 2 times in the season, they go into the game believing they got a W when we show up. The rest of the division doesn't feel that way when they see Kansas City. I don't care what they say. I don't care what the Broncos, the Raiders, or San Diego says. When they see Kansas City, there's fear.
he can't get San Diego out of his mind.
Listen, time out. Time out. This is no mistake. I'm not trying to get San Diego out of it. They are San Diego. They're going to be San Diego, and that's just what it is. You don't like it? Go back there.
Raider Nation, tell us who you think the Raiders should have at quarterback next year. What move do you want them to make realistically? Hit us on IG, put us in your story, tag at TheFranchiseLV, go on Twitter, put the video on there, tag us at TheFranchiseLV, Facebook as well. Let us know what you think. We want to know.
Yes, we do.
Inquiring minds. Inquiring minds also want to know what the hell John Morant is thinking. John Morant is arguably the most explosive, talented player in the NBA. Not the best.
Right.
Just off pure talent. What he can do, he can shoot, jump out the gym. We had the pleasure a couple years ago when he was out here for Summer League around his birthday, working out at the facility. We were there, got a chance to hang out with him a little bit. Seemed like a really good dude.
Yeah.
John Morant, as of Monday, is now facing a 50-plus game suspension for carrying a gun.
50 games?
Well, 50 games now because he had it in Denver where they played, and that means he traveled with it on the team plane, which is against NBA and NBA PA rules. 50-plus game minimum, 50 game minimum suspension, and that's the Gilbert Arenas rule. And Javaris Crittenden, if you remember about that.
Right.
Ja also was on Instagram over the weekend on Saturday, Friday night or Saturday, and he brandished a gun at a party or wherever he's at with his homeboys, throwing up gang signs on his own IG story that he was recording. It's not like someone just did this on their own. He did it himself. And that's just the two latest instances. There's 3 other ones.
Yeah.
Going to a finish line at a mall and pressing up on the people that work there because of a discrepancy with his mother. Threatening and brandishing a gun to a 17-year-old neighbor. And then there was the incident.
Beat him up too, didn't he?
Yeah, allegedly. And then allegedly him and his crew in Indiana basically taking a red light. They don't know if it was from a scope or whatever. It could just be, a laser pointer at the Indiana Pacers bus and with officials there. So, for me, and I know I definitely want to spend a little more time on this than probably, this whole situation, because I think it's encompassing some other things too.
Yeah.
But people spend their entire lives trying to get out the hood and use basketball as a platform or the reason, just like music or whatever.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in, it looks like it's the opposite. He's using basketball as a platform to get into the hood. And I question this. I don't know what he was like growing up. I've seen the pictures of him going to a private school, to family members. People joke and say he's Papa Doc from 8 Mile. Parents have a real good marriage, but and then wants to be gangster. Yeah. Look, the bottom line is this: whoever is in his circle, like John needs to reevaluate, and John needs to look at the people that's around him and say, look, and the people around him actually needs to say, look, what the hell are you doing? Where's the mentorship?
That's where it's at right there. I'm not in any way going to excuse John Morant for any of his actions because he's making some bonehead plays right now. But I kind of can relate somewhat to the position that he's in. Even when it goes down to the place where he plays ball at, right? My biggest issue is people around him. You have to understand the position that he's in and what it means to you and your family, as opposed to just him and his. It's as much as Ja is to be at fault for the whole gunplay in the club and put it on his live, you mean to tell me not one homie in there with you can say, bro, that's stupid, stop him from doing that? Or grab him before he does it and say, bro, look, let's think here. Like, when you're in that position, right? People's conversation with you, the way that you act, the way that you interact with them, right? You come into a new place, you're ingratiating yourself with the city. There is a stereotype or assumption of who you are because of the spotlight that's cast on you for being in that position. When people start to meet you, right, and they recognize, or they say, well, dang, this dude is cool, right? Or you got a little streetwise intellect, right? Doesn't necessarily mean you was on the block doing much or nothing, but you understand the code. You can shake a man's hand, look a man in the eye, tell him how you really feel, not be afraid. Well, real recognize real. That don't mean you're a tough guy. It just means that, okay, to the element within the city that you would love to ingratiate yourself with because you want them to love you, oh, Ja's a cool dude. That cool dude expands to the point where the other cool dudes are all around. All of a sudden, everybody's cool, but you don't know anybody. You don't know none of these people. What's good about it is the fact that you're cool allows you to move around this city because you're cool with this man, this man, this man, this man, right? Not only that, they see what you do in the community. They see what kind of person you are. In the beginning, it's all positive. It's all love. But everybody else within that circle or that's coming into that circle, they don't have the same motives as you. They don't have the same things going on as you. For them, it's just fun.
They don't have the same bank account as you.
At all. Yo, it's been, some of them do. Well, maybe not that to that level.
Because next year he's got 231 million.
Right.
Like,
right. It ain't to that level, but some of them don't need a dime from you.
Right.
You provide something that they can't get, regardless of what money they have. You allow them in because they're your guy. That being the case, somebody has to say, check this out, little bro. You can't do that. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's the gangster. I don't care if it's your big cousin or your uncle. I don't care if it's the dude that sells dope that you hang out with. Somebody has to stop you from being that destructive.
When you say that, we see his father being his biggest cheerleader, his hype man, but also getting his own celebrity. Why isn't his father doing that?
I don't know that he is or if he isn't. I don't know what's going on. I know that I'm looking on the outside looking in, right? I know his father wasn't in the club with him when he was brandishing the gun, was he? If he was,
I don't know.
He wasn't in the video.
I don't know.
So somebody in the video, and if his dad was there, whoever was there, somebody within the mix. Again, I'm not absolving Ja from anything. He's a grown man. He ought to know that. But if he doesn't, of all the people within the entourage, can't nobody just man up and tell the breadwinner, tell this superstar, this person that means so much to so many people on a nightly basis, that, yo, man, this ain't the move. He's got to come back from this and recognize, just like you said, I got to clear my circle because obviously nobody has my back. Man, I've been a musician for the majority of my adulthood. It was times when I was wilding out. It was times when I was making decisions based on what celebrity I had, what ego I had, what image I wanted to portray, as opposed to being reality based, right? But the people I had around me, the majority of them was people that I knew from very young, right? So I definitely had some OGs that I literally had to listen to. Now, would I ever would have thought that big man would whoop my ass? No, but he could.
Yeah.
Easily. You know what I'm saying? Ice, Big Tone, all of the guys that I had with they could beat me up, literally. So I would, anytime I start getting out of hand, all they got to do is say, look, man, you know better than that. And I absolutely knew better than that.
But, okay, so this also goes to, I think, being raised.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, your case, you grew up in a 2-family household.
Yeah.
You know, both parents. With me, it was my grandparents and my mother who had me at a young age. So I had the old way, and then my mom, who's still my mom, but
Yeah.
she's more like a big sister in a lot of ways.
Right.
You see the dynamic with her.
Yeah.
You know, so with that, you know, we were raised a little different. We still understood the code. We understand things, but we also understood that, okay, there's a bigger picture. Now, like, yeah, when we were younger, you're wild out. I did the same thing when I was in wild out a little too much.
Yeah.
But at some point, it goes back to, I wasn't raised like this.
Right.
And to me, what's bigger for me is the last name and the legacy that my grandfather and that last name has than the one that's on the front or the guys that I'm with. Because if I'm in, if they say, oh, here come Joe Arrigo, oh man, shit, man, he's coming. Versus like, oh yeah, he's a cool dude.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that also goes to what we feed our mind.
Yeah,
you know,
100%, man. I mean, it's like a different dynamic these days. I feel like when I was growing up, through music, I definitely reported about what was happening in my neighborhood, but I was also always afraid of what was happening in my neighborhood and all of the neighborhoods across the city. So, my whole plan was to use music as an avenue to not have to deal with all of that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand. I understand to a certain extent. Like, we grew up watching gangster movies, right? We grew up watching tough guys. Like,
but we also grew up watching
to
The Cosby Show, Different World.
Yeah, all of that. But specifically, just growing up around so many tough guys, right? Any boy wants to be tough, right? But what I remember about the tough guys was, they ain't never smiled. He was never happy. Always stressed about something. Always something going on, somebody they done crossed, somebody they got the beef with, blah, blah, blah. And like, that was never no thing that interests me, right? Guys would come home from jail during the summer and everybody would just sit up at the park and they would just tell stories about being in jail, like how many fights they done had and all this. I'm like, man, this is not, why is everybody fascinated with this? Like, this is not where it's at. So I don't know if it's the music, I don't know if it's the just pop culture right now, but I mean, we had what? 2 rappers die violently. Man. Any other ones that died, they died from some other cause, but out of the violent deaths with rappers, we had a couple of them. Like, we can't even count on 2 hands how many we've had in the last 3 or 4 years these days. So the affinity of the tough guy thing right now. There is no tough guy because people don't fight no more.
No.
So you ain't tough just because you got a gun, because some little kid with a gun could come and literally blast you, and that's the end of your toughness. So the whole tough guy script is kind of dead.
And John Morant now is a role model, and I agree with Barkley, athletes aren't role models, but now you got the kids whose parents aren't together. The mom has to work a job or go do what she's doing. Dad is trying to work 2 jobs. Now he's home alone. He sees John Morant acting like this. I'm going to be John Morant. Now that's in his head, and now he starts wilding out. Now the streets have him. And then what? Now we want to know why this 13-year-old kid was robbing a liquor store and got gunned down because he got in a shootout with a cop.
Yeah, I mean, look, circumstances are what they are from person to person. I will say that what you learn from a 2-parent household, I feel, is authority. The one person that I was scared to cross was my dad.
My grandfather.
So, and then I also believe that it's definitely going to take a man to turn a boy into a man, right? 100%. We all need both sides of this. Like, there have definitely been situations where the dad was too hard.
Yeah.
And emotionally, the kid wasn't able to grow, right? And that in turn makes him that way on his kids or his woman or his family or whatever the case may be. So it's a lot of different ways you can go with this situation. I will say that life used to imitate art, right? Now, the imitation aspect is skewed. I feel like people believe that art is life, period, and it's not. Reality TV is just a keyword. This is not reality. It's still scripted. It's still acting. I do believe that between reality TV, social media, and honestly, the record companies who really have a huge influence on the subconscious of people's minds. All of this plays a part. This feeling of I can do whatever, I can say whatever with no consequence. I can hate the world because this person has this and I don't have that and I deserve it. The participation trophy aspect of life these days. Like, I feel like all of this is just a big cesspool of us getting worse and worse and worse as a society. And we're seeing it, mental health affected. We're seeing life affected. I feel like we've been at a time in our life where, especially in LA, where human life wasn't valued.
Yeah.
Right? And it feels like now, especially for the younger generation, there's always a time growing up where you feel invincible, right? I feel like that time is lasting longer for young people these days.
Yeah.
And we gotta watch it because it's just extremely dangerous. You know, we deal with young people all the time and some of their outlooks just on life, it'll scare you, man.
Well, like, I just think people live on social media. Like, if you don't post pictures of your significant other or what you're doing or where you're at or your children, like, it's a bad thing. Like, no, like, for me, I'm private. Like, very private.
But how is that possible, though? This is what I don't, this is where I got to draw the line. I don't understand the whole, and you know, maybe I don't feel no kind of way because I don't understand. Hey, make me understand. Why do you feel so much pressure because you're looking in your phone at what this next person is doing? How does that affect you to that level? Why is that so monumentally important now? Like, throughout our life, we've seen people at a better position than us, right?
Yeah.
We've watched it, we've seen it. Why does it, or a position that we perceive as better than us, right? Why is it so important now? Why does it have to affect your everyday life? And if it does, what's causing you to keep looking at this? Look, watch this.
I wish I could get off social media. Like, I'm being honest. Like, we can't because of work.
But why? Why is it necessary? Why does it carry so much pressure for the people who, and I acknowledge that it does cause pressure, especially for women. I made it a point to really ask questions to the women that I know and have them to just explain some of these things that I'm just so confused about.
Would it be validation?
I haven't figured it out
Attention,
yet. All I've done is I've been given enough information to acknowledge that it's there. Whereas before that, I didn't even, like, I just felt like, man, you crazy. And it's not. It's absolutely having an effect on people's brains and their how they feel every day when they wake up. What is it? How does that? You just said it yourself. I wish I could get off social media. I understand it's your job. But if it wasn't for your job, would you still feel that way? Do you think
I'll probably be off social media?
You would be off, like,
yeah, like
completely.
because at the end of the day,
I would too, probably.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I go on Twitter mainly for news and to report.
Yeah.
You know, I go on Instagram. You know, I have the business one, which is for work.
Yeah.
Then I have my private one, which I post on sporadically. It's not all the time. You know that.
Yeah.
And then, like, I don't really go on Facebook unless I have to, unless I'm just to see whose birthday it is.
Yeah.
You know, that's what that is. I don't go on anything else.
But I mean, I guess what I'm saying is,
I just don't feel the need for it because of the people I want to talk to, I could pick up the phone and call them. Or I could text them and say, hey, you know, you good? You know, what's going on? How are you?
Right.
I don't need social media to see, oh, well, TQ was in Mexico last week. Like,
but just you explaining it sounds to me as if it's just a negative thing that comes with social media.
It's a negative network.
It's a negative network. That's the way you feel about it.
A lot of times, yeah. You know,
and is it because?
But it's a necessary evil for what we do for a living.
Right. But outside of that, does it affect the way you feel every day? Because it seems to me like a lot of people are under a certain amount of pressure from these phones that literally affect how they feel when they wake up in the morning.
No.
And I don't see how that's possible.
No, that doesn't affect me because what I see on Instagram is fake 90% of the time.
So is the opposite of that the belief that this is actually real? Is this what everybody's believing, that everything that they see Mr. Jones and them doing is actually what Mr. Jones and them doing?
I believe so. Because they only see the happy points. They don't see the sad points. Like when Joey passed, I put something on Facebook, something on Twitter, and I put some on, and that was it. Mm-hmm. I shared that not because I wanted to like cleanse me or make me feel better, because it could help somebody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Someone's going through this. I'm not looking for attention.
And what was the effect? What was the difference?
Twitter, Desiree Reed Francois, the AD at the time at UNLV, called me within seconds of me posting it, and then Marcus Arroyo called me, and I was at the airport leaving his funeral, and I had an hour-long conversation with him. Just me and him.
Now, flip side, you've posted birthdays, you've posted triumphant things that have happened for you. Did you get the same type of
You get
response?
congratulations or whatever, but you don't, it's not like hey, this is great for you. Nah, I didn't get all that.
Right, so if we're just thinking about that, like, I really want everybody to start diving into why you see the things that you see on social media.
I kind of know the answer to that.
It's like these bots and these algorithms are engineered to amplify whatever it is that you're dealing with. So if you're dealing with negativity constantly, if you're feeling a certain way that's causing you to go and find melancholy stuff to make you feel worse,
that's all that's going to be on there.
That's all that's going to be on there. Like, when I first got on Instagram, I can't even lie to you. It was my Hustler magazine. And every piece of TNA I could possibly look at, I was like.
And nothing's changed.
Hey, I'm trying to change it. Look, it's so deep that, like, I did so much liking of just women's butts in the beginning of all of this. I can't get them off my discovery page. They just constantly come up. So I've stopped. I've at least I've tried. Okay. All right.
There's a couple out there that's your go-to.
Yeah. I'm way better than I used to be. But what I'm understanding is that women in general, we didn't ever look at our Playboy books in front of them.
No.
They never saw our reaction to the things that we liked. We was always hiding that. And now, person goes on Instagram. I'm on Instagram and I'm looking at something. I'm not paying attention to who liked it. A woman had to show me that, it says that you like this. I'm like, well, damn. And so when a person likes something, it makes you feel like, oh, they like that, but they didn't like me.
And that's
not the case at all, not even a little bit. So I use this analogy, right? It's like, okay, like I've driven a Lamborghini, I've rode in Lamborghinis, they're beautiful cars. Right? If I see one riding down the street, it's gonna catch my attention. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna look at it.
We've seen it during the shoot.
Yeah, like it's a hot car. It's not comfortable. I wouldn't buy one to save my life. So I might be on Instagram, just like a lot of us, pressing like on some big fake butt. I don't want that. It's just a Lamborghini. You know what I'm saying? I like Porsche. I don't like Lamborghini.
Yeah.
So just because I click that button, like there was a liquor store in my neighborhood, Virtues. And Virtues, the man that ran Virtues just was, he made us alcoholics. He would let us go in and buy St. Ives and 8 balls and all this.
I wanted up in the same way.
You know what I'm saying? We was too young for all that. But he let us go in there and buy it, let us look at the nudie books. Now I'm looking at every nudie book. I don't like every woman in the book. She's naked. That's why I'm sitting there looking at it. Like, we're men, we're simple like that. And I think that social media has allowed women for the first time to see us in our enjoyment mode that normally happen in the locker room, at the barbershop, or at home in the room by ourselves.
Yep.
And it's skewing the way that they see themselves. But that's just not it, man. It's just not it. It's a lot of times when I look at, just in my circle of friends, the people that we ended up dating or marrying or whatever, like the personalities, the physicalities across, there's nothing like these girls that we like on Instagram. And this is across the board. But the average person doesn't know that. And I just feel like I'm aware now that there is a pressure that social media and reality TV has created. And I don't know what we're supposed to do to send that back the opposite way. And I believe that plays a part into what is happening with Ja Morant and a lot of other young people right now.
Well, don't you think that potentially too, like you go even to like television, I know you don't watch a lot of it,
right,
but there's not a lot of sitcoms. Like I said earlier, we grew up with Cosby Show, Different World. Yeah. Then you would know even Archie Bunker and the Jeffersons, Good Times. You know, there was a bunch, Night Court. Like you had a bunch of shows, Cheers, that were like they would touch on subjects, especially the Cosby Show in particular.
Yeah.
You know, you've seen a family that's together. Yeah. Now you don't see that. Now a lot of the shows, like Cedric the Entertainer has one, but like that's on like I think Paramount or something. Like you really don't see it all the time. Yeah. They brought back a Night Court version, which is similar to the other one, so it's like slapstick comedy. Yeah. But you don't see that same family dynamic anymore, so kids don't grow up seeing it. I think as men, we've also failed at making the people who we're with, our partners, comfortable in their own skin, if they're not already. We have to be more aware of whether or not, this is gonna affect them. And if it does.
Are they gonna listen?
Well, that's the thing.
Does anybody listen?
I don't know.
Like, cause okay, so I always been into older women. Always. Like when I was a little kid. I just like I like the older girls. But period. Still do. So like so like like those wrinkles, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that.
Tiger stripes, like tiger
stripes.
Hey
man, whatever, man. Hey, it comes with it. But yo, man, that is like a cardinal sin for women these days. A wrinkle or a stretch mark or something out of place or whatever. Like, and I don't think that pressure comes from us, but maybe that pressure comes from us hitting the like so many times on stuff younger, that doesn't have wrinkles. Have all that. Yes. Yeah. So I mean, I still don't. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I understand that phenomenon, but I'm also not gonna sit here and say that I don't recognize it. So I think I think I made a post not too long ago about this. Maybe it's on us, to be bigger men and kind of like, don't like the TNA so much, man. I'm trying, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying, but it's not easy because they be bouncing them joints on you and you just be sitting there, What are you supposed to do, man? What are you supposed to do? Do my best.
Watch the Laker game.
Good point. Good.
Because they're playing really good right now.
Good point. Man, listen, I am dreaming about this healthy squad in any playoff series.
How about just the playoffs in general?
Man, if we can get to if this team gets to the playoffs, they are going to make noise. They are made for series.
Well, they're working out Kemba Walker as well.
Are they?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I ran into Boogie Cousins Saturday at the Vipers game.
Yeah.
Boogie looks good.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Is he working out?
He looks like he's ready to go.
Really?
So I didn't get a chance to really sit down with him, but Boogie looks really good.
That's cool.
I like this Lakers team. I like the makeup. I think if it's a puzzle, all the pieces fit. And I think that's hasn't happened the last few years. Even that bubble team, the puzzle didn't always fit. The pieces always didn't fit the puzzle.
Yeah, they was built for series.
But they were built for a series. They weren't built for the long
series.
Run.
They can play defense. They have a lot of interchangeable parts. They're deep. For the first time in I don't know how long, we actually got some bona fide shooting.
Yes.
Where we're not just clanking balls constantly. Clanking balls creates long rebounds, fast breaks. When you got an old team like the Lakers had, that is the recipe for disaster. If they want to jack up threes now, you got guys that can get back in transition.
Well, look at Vanderbilt, like in particular, like he'll get back and do all the dirty work. And look,
right.
This Lakers team is 3-0 against the Warriors, and they're 3-0 without LeBron James.
3-1.
3-1 without LeBron James.
Right.
So, and they beat they beat the Warriors on Sunday with LeBron watching the game in a walking boot.
And
AD's
Russell
playing
out.
out.
Russell's out too.
Well, yeah,
both of them.
Yeah, well, yeah, D'Lo was out. I think
Yeah.
talking about Russell Westbrook. He been
No,
gone.
no,
Like
no, I'm
that's
talking about
he's
D'Lo.
fine in the other locker room, but
D'Lo is a big deal, man, and to be
Huge
missing
deal.
him right now, and still be able to stay afloat. Like I think that the whole LeBron effect. I think that going forward, I don't want to need LeBron to have the type of season that he's had this year, next year, and the following year.
no, I want to throttle back. I want to see the AD we see right now.
There you go. I want to see the AD we see right now, and I want D'Angelo Russell, if it's him or if it's some other player, to step up and get into LeBron's minutes and get into LeBron's production.
I would agree.
I think that is the way to get the Lakers back to the championship. This sustained greatness and sustained just torque on LeBron's body, at some point, Father Time is going to step up and say, look, man. So I think we've already seen this. Kobe was a workout warrior himself. When he put too much on him at such an age where there was a lot of tread on the tires, it broke him down. I believe that LeBron is more of the workout warrior and more of the athlete and more physically gifted.
Also spends more on recovery.
Right. But the bottom line is you're old, man. So if we're gonna get what we can get out of him at this point, it's gotta be throttled back some. And I believe that LeBron can be out for an extended amount of time if we can get D'Lo back and this team can stay afloat and get into the playoffs without him.
Don't disagree with anything you just said. Saturday, we were at the Vipers game.
Yes.
First time seeing it in person, what were your thoughts?
Hey man, listen, since the first iteration of the XFL, I have been interested because this is the time during the sports year where it's sadness for me. Like I literally had to find another kind of football because
We're not talking about them this week.
yeah, exactly. Because of this time of year. So I've always just been gassed about just the opportunity of the XFL because the presentation, even from the beginning, there was always that just WWE-ish, bigger than life presentation. And we're into production, man. We into marketing. We into sports photography and videography. So the XFL just really falls into what we love. And then, not only that, but the redemption stories, man, that could come out of there, right?
Yes.
Like that could literally just become a thing that happens every year. Like it's really exciting to me. I'm really happy about their financial situation. I feel like they have a model like the Ubers and Airbnbs of the world, whereas look, we don't have to be profitable these first couple of years. We just got to refine what we do, make it better, make it more efficient, ingratiate ourselves with the people.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I'm really excited about it, man. I like, there were some kinks. There was definitely some kinks. It's kinks in the broadcast. It's kinks in the way the games are being called. Sometimes, I heard officials on sidelines a bit confused a couple of times at the game. But, it's new. It's early on. I love the way that Las Vegas is invested in the team.
It was 6,037 people, which is up from 6,024 week 2 when it was pouring rain.
Yeah.
And
like Cashman Field is not giving a lot to offer in the ways of comfort. You know what I'm saying? But for people to come there and for people to support the team, and the game was just entertaining, man.
highest scoring game in league history so far.
It was a really entertaining game. I think that what the worst part about it is it was a Las Vegas Raiders / UNLV Rebels type loss. And I am sick of that, man.
But I
when
will
you have victory and you just infuse some defeat into it on your own, by yourself, without the help of anyone.
Man, well, first of all, Brett Hundley, you balled your ass
Yeah,
out,
you did, man.
Like, Brett, the Vipers quarterback situation is solved.
Solidified.
Like, that he's QB1. Hopefully the hamstring isn't too bad. I know he came out and strained it, or that's why Perez came in for a series, and then Brett was good. Martavius Bryant needs to play better. Like,
He's got to get open, man.
Well, no, yeah, but you would expect him. He was the first round pick. You would expect him with his size. Look at Josh Gordon. Like, Josh Gordon is out there killing it, and Martavius Bryant is just as physical, faster.
But he's not getting open, bro.
Well, okay, so
It's not getting open. I haven't seen him get open in the game. He's got to get open. Somebody that big, that physical, that got to get open, man.
I agree, and I would love to see him do that, because I think when Brett gets cooking, he's up there with some of the better quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, he
and
can
shout
spin the
out
ball.
to DJ E-Rock. E-Rock had that place jumping, and
man.
E-Rock is one of the best out here in Vegas,
Bro.
But man, E-Rock,
Good job, my man.
My man.
Good job.
like, he crushed it. So I love the presentation. I may be one of the few media people that actually like the press box. It's in where it's like the clubhouse restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, like, there was families up there, families of players where Boogie was at.
Oh, really?
Deion Hodges was up there with IVI, one of the new training institutes out here. Cody from Barcode. Cody was up in there. A bunch of people up in there.
That's what, just so y'all know, the press box, that's where the cool kids hang out. You know what I'm saying? Like, us infantrymen, we're out in the field. You understand? We're down there on our knees, freezing with our lenses, bringing you the absolute best XFL Las Vegas Vipers coverage you're gonna find in this town. We're not sitting up with Boogie Cousins and all the families and Barcode and Ta-Time. We're not doing any of that. That's this guy. That's what he does for the company. The field people, right? My soldiers, you know what I'm saying? Trisha Lacoste, Alon Sowell, myself. We out there for y'all. Understand that. Back to you, 1%er.
No, but I'm saying it was cool because you had the cheering and stuff. I know they're like
cheering in the press box.
Well, because it's not the press box. Literally, so you walk in, it's like the foyer area.
Yeah.
So you got like a mini bar that sells pizza and then like whatever drinks. Then you have like a couple areas that are blocked off.
Yeah.
But I think that's for like sponsorships, but you can go over there or whatever. Then you go down a couple steps and there's like tables like this, high standing tables. And then there's like a wall that has almost like you can sit down and eat off of it. That's the press area. Okay. And then you go down a couple and there's more chairs, more high stools and stuff that is for families and stuff. But you have kids in there. I know some of the other media members weren't necessarily happy with it.
I bet they weren't.
Oh man,
listen, the first time I was in the press box, man brings me to the press box. I don't know what's going on.
USC UNLV game.
I'm just sitting up there, you know what I'm saying? And somebody did something. I think it was a hit. Somebody hit somebody, and I yelled out, loud. Oh, man, this man looked at me like they wanted to kick me out of the place. Man. Everybody turned around. It was all eyes on me. I felt like an idiot. So I learned that quick. Can't be cheering in the press box. And I know some of these dudes out here, boy, some panties was in a bunch in that place with that cheering, wasn't it?
I cannot confirm or deny what TQ just said, but yeah. But I was sitting there, and I think
that's probably a cool dynamic.
It's real cool because then you see like look at, I think it was one of the defensive players' moms was like, go ahead, baby,
yeah.
And it was just
sweet.
like, this is cool, like okay.
Sweet.
I dug it, and I actually met one of the senior officials in the XFL, and the same thing with the Vipers. They were together. Yeah. Actually, coincidentally, rode up and down the elevator before the game and after the game with them, and they were really cool. Asked my opinion about the league and stuff. I appreciated that. I didn't expect that at all.
Well, I mean, the team's been out there freezing for the last 2 weeks in a row, and everybody can't wait to get back out there again. So, I mean, we go from shooting the Raiders to UNLV to high school football. I love it so far, man.
XFL, baby,
it's fun. It's fun covering it. And we're going to continue. We diving head first into. Look, football is our sport around here. We make no mistake about it. It's what we love, and the Vipers, I feel like they're here to stay, man.
I love it. And last thing with them, I really think the city, I know it's at Cashman and what side of town it's on, but come on out. It's a cool family environment.
Yeah.
They're back out in a couple weeks. They're on the road this weekend in DC. If you go to any of the recaps that we've done or previews, or even I wrote an article about why I think it's going to be successful in Vegas.
Yeah.
There's at the bottom of the article, there's a link you could click on for season tickets or single game tickets. Click on that. Tickets are like $20, if that, really affordable.
Yeah, man, it's a good outing, man. It's like, listen, we understand that to hit a Raider game was going to hit you in your pockets. Like, we absolutely understand that. It's the NFL. It's the top dog. We wish it could be different, but it's not right now. But, hey, the live action, the excitement, the hitting, it's there, man. And at Cashman, you up close and personal. So come on out. It's cheap. Bring the family. Support the team, man. This place is turning into the sports capital of the United States, if not the world. And what's going to pull us over the top is you guys participating and showing love for these teams out here. Like I always say, we look at the Aces when we first start covering them, and we look at the Aces at the end of the year last year. That's because of you guys. It's as simple as that. When Vegas gets on the bandwagon, they get on it. So come on out, cheer this team on, man. They ain't won a game yet because they need y'all. So come on out there and let's get loud.
Last thing before we get out of here, we didn't touch on it a couple weeks ago because as we were shooting the show, my phone started ringing. And it was from players and other people at UNLV. And we shot the intro during that time, and it was probably right after we did a wardrobe change. And that's when I got word that Ryan Keeler, outside linebacker that was only 20 years old, that just transferred in last year, passed away. 20 years is way too young for any young man, any person to pass away, unexpectedly or expectedly.
Yeah.
So on behalf of everybody at our company, to the Keeler family, Herb and his wife, and Ryan's brother, like we extend our deepest and most heartfelt condolences to you guys. To all the UNLV players, we're here for you. Seeing and talking to you guys and getting the text and hearing the pain in your voice was one of the most heartbreaking things that I've ever had to endure. That's other side of probably losing my son and my grandfather.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we're going to end the show like this week. Just send your thoughts and prayers and good vibes to the Keeler family. And we'll be back next week on the Franchise Podcast. For TQ, I'm Joe Arrigo. The show is directed by Trisha Lacoste. We appreciate you guys taking out the time. And again, we're going to miss you, Ryan.